I think that there is a clear kind of delineation between about the top 13 teams or so, the very top 4 seed, and then everybody else. But I do want to know what you guys think about Purdue versus Tennessee versus Arkansas, because I do think that Tennessee and Arkansas are probably, they are up there among the hottest teams in college basketball right now. I don't know who was playing better than Arkansas coming into today's game, and Arkansas trailed by 23 at one point at Tennessee before coming back and almost winning that game. But Tennessee, Arkansas, those two teams are dangerous, RC.
It wouldn't shock me if one of those teams are in the SEC finals, championship game. Like, it wouldn't shock me if they pull an upset and beat Auburn and Kentucky. I mean, those 4 teams in that league, like, is anybody playing any better than them? I mean, Arkansas and Tennessee are playing just great, but again, you can make an argument that might be the best league. I think right now it's the best league in college basketball. So I'm not surprised. I actually expect one of them to pull an upset and get to the final. It just wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the bracket now, and you're seeing kind of how it could break. And again, you could get an Auburn, Arkansas semis and a Tennessee, Kentucky semis, and both of those, I don't think you will. I think you'll have some upsets in this league. I really do. I could see Tennessee. They're so good in Knoxville, but if you get them out of there, they've kind of been mediocre, and they're going to get the winner of Mississippi State, South Carolina in the quarters. That's not a given by any means. So Alabama plays Kentucky potentially in the quarters. That's a hell of a game, because you never know what you're going to get from the Crimson Tide. Have no idea. I agree with you. I think the SEC, listen, to me, you got 3 or 4 leagues that are, well, actually, almost every league's been great other than the ACC and the Pac-12. Two stink this year. They're boring. They stink. Every other league's been competitive. It's been fun. And the SEC, to me, probably you're right, because you look at it and you're like, they got personalities too for the coaches. Muss is a wild man. Cal Perry's Cal Perry. Nate Oates is kind of crazy. Bruce Pearl. I mean, they got some dudes coaching.
They got 4 teams that we could legitimately say could win the league. And I don't know how any other conference that we can say, hey, without a question, 4 teams to win. None of us would be shocked.
I think all 4 of those teams can get to a Final Four, and that's to say nothing of LSU, who's 16-2 with Xavier Pinson on the floor. To say nothing of Alabama, who has beaten Gonzaga in Seattle. They've beaten Houston, and they beat somebody. Did they beat Auburn? Who else did they beat? They have another really good win that I'm blanking on.
The same week they beat Gonzaga. They had a great win.
It was Houston. They beat Gonzaga and Houston the same week, right? They got some. I'll look it up in a second. But then Arkansas has won 14 of
their
beat
last, Arkansas. They beat Arkansas.
Yeah, they won 14 of the last 15 coming into today. Tennessee has won 12 of their last 14, right? They lost at Kentucky 107-79. Remember that? They lost by 30 to Kentucky. Since then, they've won 12 out of 14. They've won 9 of their last 10. They've been on fire. They figured out they're making shots. Kennedy Chandler's playing how many point guards right now, Goodman? You love point guard play. That is your favorite thing on the planet, is to talk about point guard play. How many point guards right now in college basketball would you take over Kennedy Chandler?
The NBA might take one, believe it or not. Like Kennedy Chandler, when you talk to NBA guys, and it's not a great crop, but they say to me all the time, they're like, other than Ty, and he's not a true point, he's a combo. Kennedy Chandler might be the number 1 point guard on their board. And he's looked a lot more consistent lately. I wasn't a believer of Kennedy Chandler early in the year, because I felt like every time I saw him, I didn't know what I was getting. But to me, he's been more consistent lately. And listen, give Rick Barnes credit. I mean, he's done a hell of a job with that group. They could get to the 2 line. If they get to the SEC title game, I think they're a 2 seed.
Mm-hmm. I think any one of those teams in the SEC can get up to that 2 seed line. I think
not Alabama and not LSU, but
I don't think Arkansas is that far away.
They're probably not. They'd have to win the league. They'd have to win the league tournament.
Yeah, but if they beat, so they're going to be the 4 seed. So if they beat, they would. I think it will end up being Alabama in the quarterfinals, then Auburn in the semis, and then Kentucky or Tennessee in the title game. And you have a team that has then won, I think it would be 17 of their last 19 games with that resume and those wins added to it. You're
as
telling me
much
that
as
team
we
can't get a 2 or a 3?
as much as we want to see the Auburn Kentucky championship, I don't believe both of them are going to make it. Those two, Tennessee and Arkansas, is playing too well right now.